Take two. This is SANDCAST, the beach volleyball with Bourne and Travis Mewhirter, brought to you the written form on volleyballmag.com. Video is on P1440, and if you just want to listen and you don't want to read or watch, you can find us on iTunes. We're in our Bourne on the Beach studio, welcoming the voice of the AVP, Mark Schuermann, to this beautiful Manhattan Beach location studio for the first time here.
That's amazing. I didn't know you guys were that close to the pier.
Yeah, we're
That's
just
sweet.
overlooking it.
Yeah.
You feel that breeze?
Good piece
I do feel the breeze. Yeah, it's a warm breeze, but I feel it.
Let us know if you need me to close the windows.
Yeah, it's good for now. I like it. I can hear the seagulls too. It's amazing that you guys block that out of the mics. These things are good.
Oh yeah, SANDCAST is super high tech these days.
Are you starting to get the voice warm for AVP?
It's good.
Coming up, man.
It's feeling good. It's good to go. The time off from. Well, it's sort of time off. The time off from doing multiple day events has been very nice. But being able to keep busy with one day events or one night events my voice has been very happy for that. Yeah. So I'm ready to go.
What do you do? Explain to the viewers what you do when it's not AVP season. Because AVP is just 8 weeks out of the year. Mm-hmm. So obviously you need to do something else to make a living in Southern California.
So in the summer, like you said, 8 or 9 weeks I do AVP. And I also do FIVB indoor stuff. So I'll actually the first thing I'm doing with the FIVB this year, I'm going to Bangkok in a week. Whoa. And we're running a clinic. So it's going to be me, a couple of DJs from Austria, the guys who do the beach majors, DJ Starry and DJ Toby. Oh, it's great.
It's got to be a good crew to travel with.
Such a good crew. They're awesome dudes. Mm-hmm. And then Kelly Reed is our producer. She's been doing AVPs for like 15 years.
Oh yeah.
And we worked Rio together at the indoor for the Olympics. So anyway, the four of us are sort of heading up a clinic in Bangkok where we're going to have announcers, DJs, and producers from all over the world, really, but a lot from Asia, from China, Japan, Thailand, and we're bringing them in. We're hosting like workshops because the FIVB wants to take like the in-game entertainment, we call it. They want the DJs and the announcers to be more involved with the crowd. They're investing more in the sound systems at arenas that don't have great sound systems. Mm-hmm. They're putting in lights. It's a whole show. So we're sort of part of the training to get the announcers to be a little more involved with the crowd. Sorry.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Immediate tangent.
No, I love it. I'm like super interested because
it's pretty cool.
It's a facet that people expect at games but never really think about. I feel like in-game entertainment is almost like reffing, where like you expect the refs to be there and to be good, but you never really think about all the time that goes into it.
Yeah.
And like it's nuts, just the dynamic of it.
And in-game entertainment is really not exclusively, but heavily a USA concept.
Yeah.
With the exception of the beach majors, the Austrian dudes, they other than that, like
Brazil has a little bit, but that's Brazil beach volleyball.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. For the most part, it's like people look at the NBA, and that's like a model for in-game entertainment, where at every moment there's some sort of something happening.
Right.
From the time pre-game when the host starts to talk to the crowd and say what's going to be going on today. And then you've got the music, and the starting lineups are huge in the NBA. The Lakers, they have their big like circular screen that drops and they reveal the players. And then even during timeouts, there's interviews happening or there's something on the big screen. That sort of model of constant stuff happening to keep the crowd engaged is really what the FIVB would like to go towards. So that's what we're sort of trying to implement, and it started with Rio. That's when the FIVB really invested in it because they saw an opportunity, like you said, in Brazil. They like to have a good time. They just like to have fun. So we used that to our advantage, and we made sure we had a good time. So they hired me and one of those Austrian DJs, Starry, to do indoor volleyball in Rio to make it more of a party, beachy sort of vibe. Yeah. And it worked.
Yeah, how'd you do that? Because that's I feel like that's a tough, even though it's a similar sport and everything, but there's something about being outside on a beach and partying during the day that's so much different. Like when you're like partying indoors at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's just different.
It's different, and the great thing about the Olympics is that if people are at the Olympics, they're just excited to be at the Olympics. Right. You know what I mean? Every match means something, even if it's a 9 a.m. match with two teams you know aren't going anywhere. Like the crowd's like, hey, we paid here to be for 2 matches. Yeah. We're gonna have a great time.
Yeah. And you're watching athletes who are playing at their highest. Like this is the moment in their career. It doesn't even matter if it's worth anything. Like to see like people that are in that moment of life and like playing in it is entertaining in itself.
And I can't remember what country it is right now, but it was the women's team that represented Africa, whichever team that was, and shoot, I can't remember it, but the crowd got behind them so much because they had moments of like greatness and they were so much fun and they cheered so enthusiastically at everything.
That's awesome.
And they lost a close match in like their third match, and the crowd from that point on was just so excited for them. So they played their next match, and it was like a Brazil match. The entire crowd was so rooting for, you know, whoever it was. But yeah, so they just wanted to have a good time in Brazil. And it was a party. It was the most exhausting 2 weeks of my life.
Yeah,
but it was
tiring
a
job.
party.
Like, kudos to you for like. I remember seeing it at East Meets West, and you were just going from. I mean, first match was at 8 or 9, and last match ended around 5, and just the whole time on court 1 we got this score, court 2, and like you were keeping them like entertained. You're into it. Most people would be like, court 1, 15-13, McNamara's winning again.
That's how I was getting with doing the live streaming, and there was no camera on me, and I didn't have to move.
Right.
Meanwhile, you're like running up the stairs behind me, touching base, coming down, going, running around the sand, screaming at people, coming back. And then you have to end the weekend on your best, most pressure-packed moment where the camera pans in on you and we're live on NBC. Like, you can't mess up.
I've had...
Not to put more pressure.
No, it's all right.
You get it.
It is what it is, yeah.
Don't get nervous in the SANDCAST.
Yeah, right? Oh, my God.
This is big.
Yeah, Saturday nights on the AVP, I've had some very nervous Saturday nights. Not so much the last year because I've learned how to control my voice and keep it for Sunday, but I've gone to sleep on Saturday night not knowing if I would wake up with a voice on Sunday morning.
Just like an athlete.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, seriously. Oh, I bet. Like, are my legs going to work?
Yeah.
Thankfully, every time my voice has worked enough. Like, it's been rough sometimes, but it's worked enough.
Right.
But yeah, they're, like you were saying with the East Meets West thing, like a nonstop thing from 9 to 5. There's always a match going on. And I love doing those college events, especially one where all 5 courts are going at the same time. Because I can see the score in every court, and I can sort of pick what I want to talk about.
Right.
The speakers are high enough, so they're not going straight into the court. So when I'm talking, it's not like it's distracting one court. If I'm talking during a girl or a woman's serve, they're not going to really hear it enough to distract them. So I love just bouncing back and forth. And it does get tiring, and then when I start to get tired, and I'll either take a little break, because nobody cares if you take a few minutes off, because then when you start talking again, they're going to recognize you more. Because if you just constantly talk, they're going to drown you out.
You're just white noise.
Exactly. So I'll take a little bit of time off, but then because I want to make sure when I am talking, I am interested and I'm invested. Because I don't want, what the worst thing is for somebody to hear you talking and be like, oh, this guy sounds like he doesn't care.
Yeah, right.
What is he doing here? Yep. And it's these parents' daughters we're talking about, like very important people. Like every person you talk about is very important, whether they're on court 5 or court 1. So those college tournaments are such a good opportunity to give 10 women per team like the equal attention. Like that's why it's such a cool format. Yeah. And those events are Stein runs it really well. He knows what he's doing, and Stein Metzger, the coach for UCLA, and so it's a really fun event to do. Yeah. I
remember we've been streaming Pepperdine matches, and so we're having trouble getting like a scoring graphic up with the Mevos, so we just have commentators there, and so like I was commentating for I think 5 straight matches one day, and by the last one I was like, Gigi Hernandez is serving, it's 1-1, and that's it.
That's all I got.
I was like,
that's all I
can't
got.
talk anymore.
Watch the rest.
Yeah, exactly. And here you go.
But I've learned too that silence. Yeah, like you were saying earlier, you kind of use it to your advantage, right?
Yes.
Like, first of all, people are there to watch the volleyball, so sometimes you can just let them watch.
Yeah.
But there's like so many little tricks like that you have to learn. Like it seems so simple.
Right.
Then you get up there and there's like infinite things you can learn to like engage listeners. And then live audience is even different, and the similarities are the letting people enjoy what they're watching, and figure things out for themselves, or have their own thoughts about it without you
constantly interjecting. And I think, you've been doing the live stream for Amazon, and going back and whenever I've done a live stream or a play-by-play, I'll go back and watch it and think to myself, like, do I ever annoy myself?
Right.
Like, would I have rather me just not said anything?
Yeah.
Because the picture is telling the story, and I don't want to say something that detracts from what the picture's saying. And if something really cool is happening, I better match it with the excitement in my voice.
Right.
Totally.
Otherwise, the audience is going to be like, dude, are you watching?
Yeah.
I would have rather just not said anything.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you have a visual aspect to it, it's learning how to enhance it without, you don't want to make it worse than it is, essentially. You don't want to distract from what's going on. You want to enhance what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about teaching a broadcast class? And that was your broadcast major.
Have you?
right?
I was gonna say, have you taken what's your education? On
I
this
was,
stuff?
so I started at Santa Monica College. Didn't know what I wanted to do. Had no idea. Just wanted to play beach volleyball, really. And the reason I went to play on the indoor team at SMC is because John Mayer and Billy Allen were the coaches. This was back in the fall of 2007.
What a great staff to learn under.
Yeah, I know, amazing. That's why I
awesome.
chose that school. The other two, really it came down to SMC and Golden West. And at the time it was Coach D'Alessandro, who had do you guys know D'Alessandro?
No.
Do not.
Golden West had a powerhouse of a program in the mid-2000s.
Right.
So it was like they had won maybe 4 out of 5 years or something, and I was like, this place is awesome. And then I went to visit SMC, and John is just, I love John. Just so straightforward, just sitting down and talking to him. I'm like, something about Santa Monica just made me feel at home. So I went with SMC. Really glad I did, not only for the volleyball experience, but I redshirted a first year. So I played the next 2. So in my third year, I had all of my credits out of the way. Like, I had tried out 3 different subjects. I thought I wanted to do math. Realized quickly I didn't want to do math.
Good choice.
I love math, but I don't like that much math. Like, nobody needs that much math.
Except M Day.
Except Emily Day. Yeah, exactly. So I said no to math. I said no to anatomy. I thought I would love something with anatomy, and I just couldn't stand anatomy and physiology
so
for
much
some reason.
memorization.
Yeah, it was just I'm okay with the memorization part, I guess. It was a ton of reading to go along. Yeah, exactly. And you have to memorize everything you're reading, and I didn't want to read that much, to be completely honest. I wanted something, realized I was like, maybe I want something a little more practical right off the bat.
Yeah.
So my third year, everybody would always joke about my voice or say they could hear me on the radio or something. So I was like, okay, I'll take an intro to broadcast class. Immediately fell in love with it. Just like first 5 minutes, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I met, right when I walked into the class, my friends for life is actually Phaedra and Blake, a brother and a sister, and just the nicest people in the world, like actors that were interested in broadcast also. So immediately felt like at home because they welcomed me in and they showed me the ropes because they already knew a little bit of the business. The teacher was amazing, this boisterous former news broadcaster that just looked like he had so much fun. And then that was that. And then I went to CSUN because they have a great broadcast program. So I was actually either SC or CSUN were my choices.
And what year did you graduate?
I graduated in 2013.
And SC has a phenomenal
Great
journalism
broadcast.
program, too.
Yeah. So actually I was checking out Pepperdine,
Does
too.
broadcast fall under the journalism spectrum? Okay.
So technically my degree is journalism.
Okay.
And we called it with a focus in broadcast.
Nice.
I could have done print. What else was
That's
there?
what mine
Who
is
cares?
with a focus.
Dude,
Broadcast.
I wish I did that.
Yeah.
Honestly. Or like something like communications or.
Okay.
My degree's really random.
What is it?
Policy planning and development in the real estate track.
Wow.
But
That is specific.
I heard real estate. I was like, oh yeah, I want to own real estate. Maybe they'll teach me how to do that, buy and sell real estate. And then I was like, oh, I didn't really think about this whole policy and planning thing that I'd have to learn about.
Those first 3 words. That's really funny.
Yeah. Anyway.
So I studied journalism. It was all news focused, which was great. Doing newscasts and writing stories and producing my own stories. But I also announced all the sports at CSUN. I would do radio broadcasts for volleyball, which is still one of the most fun things I've done because there's so much happens in volleyball, and it's a really hard school. It's a hard sport even to describe to somebody who knows what's going on,
Right.
if you're watching a 6-on-6 indoor volleyball game, to do a radio broadcast where you're painting the picture,
They have no visual. Yeah.
no visual, so you have to paint the picture, and it's, oh my God, it's so much fun.
That's great practice.
I loved it. Yeah, and realizing later how great that was for me, and how cool of an opportunity. And one of the reasons I was actually glad I went to CSUN over USC is because I don't know if I would have gotten the same opportunity at the well-oiled machine that is USC. You know what I mean? CSUN was like, oh, geez, this kid wants to put on a... Yeah, sure, let's do it. We want to do a broadcast. Yeah, we weren't going to do it, so let's do it.
I love college journalism.
Yeah.
Because teachers are just like, oh, you want to do that? Go.
Yeah, the more ambitious you are, and that's such
great.
a practical major, like it's getting out there and doing it, so the more willingness you show to just do something, the more they'll get behind you. Yeah. So that was an amazing experience. I got to do probably 10 different sports, from water polo and soccer and basketball and volleyball, and just learned so much about baseball.
You weren't playing at Northridge, though.
I walked on the team.
Okay.
Played for 3 months. Walked off. No, I didn't walk. Got cut.
Campbell.
Strolled out.
Campbell cut me. I have a really good relationship with Jeff Campbell. I remember when he called me into his office, and I pretty much knew what was going to happen. And I didn't really know how I felt about it. I was like, I knew I wasn't quite at the level. Like, maybe I could have stayed on the team, came in to serve a couple times on the year. That's about it. But he just told me straight up. He's like, I think it's about time. Like, you could stay on another month, but this was like late November. But he's like, I'm gonna have to let you go. But he was really cool about it, and I was like, totally get it. Mm-hmm. But like, we have a workout in an hour, and I was really looking forward to it. Can I do this one last workout? He's like, yeah, sure, we'll go. And I'm really glad that I did walk on. I almost didn't. I'm glad that I did, because that's how I met all of the athletes at CSUN. Mm-hmm. And then when I did all the broadcasts, like, I already knew them. And another thing I've learned is the more you know the people that you're talking about, the better it's going to sound, because people are going to be able to, not that people are going to be able to pick up on, or they're going to think about, like, oh, he knows Try really well, or he knows Rosie or something, but you tell in your voice. You can tell when you're doing something. The more you have invested in a person, the more, empathy and care and investment that's going to come out in your voice.
Yeah, you can connect the audience with the player more easily.
Exactly. And if I make fun of the player or say something stupid, the less of a chance that Try is going to turn around and flip me the bird. He'll just sort of he'll laugh along. Yeah. That was actually getting into being able to tease the players was when I really felt like I had made it a little bit on the AVP. Yeah, that was nice.
It's a good spot to be.
It's a great spot.
You can't just come right out, guns blazing on the loudspeaker teasing people.
Exactly. Who the hell are you? Jeez.
Who gave this guy the mic?
Get him out of here. Should we get back to the what was the first question you asked? What do I do other?
We just ramble on this show.
We just go. We'll get back to it eventually.
You mentioned, like, starting with the AVP. Yeah. Obviously, can't make fun of Try the first time you commentate on them. How did you get in with the AVP? Because I feel like you graduated 2013, so that's the AVP was just getting back into things under Donald. Yep.
Let me count my years, and this is going to be my fifth year, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. All right, so I graduated 2013. I took...
Don't hit that skip button, everybody. We're going to be right back here with SANDCAST. Just taking a brief second to give a big thanks to our sponsors. First and foremost, goes out to Wilson. Everyone should be stoked that the AVP season is coming up, which means that you need to order up your Wilson volleyballs or any other volleyball equipment you may need. So go to wilsonvolleyball.com to get that. Best news, you can get a discount, Wilson Sand. It's 20% off if you use our SANDCAST Wilson disc code. So hop on over, get your preseason equipment, get ready for the season coming up at wilsonvolleyball.com and use Wilson Sand for a 20% off discount. This show is also brought to you by our guys at Firefly Recovery. These guys are awesome. Try just went to Doha and was using Firefly Recovery in the hotel room. They've got them in the recovery tents on the FIVB. They're the best things possible because they're super mobile. You can bring them on planes if you're traveling around the world. I'm about to use them when I go to Vienna and Italy for snow volleyball. You can bring them to work if you want. They just stimulate the blood flow in the area that's sore or injured, and it helps it recover way faster and also just feels really good. So if you're sore, if you're breaking, or if you just want to stay on top of your recovery, use Firefly Recovery. It's the best thing on the market right now, and it's really cheap too. So give them a try. Go to fireflyrecovery.com. And now for our Pacific Coast Wealth Management Olympic FIVB ranking update. Leading the charge for the men is Russians Vyacheslav Krasilnikov and Oleg Stoyanovsky. At number 2, welcome aboard two-time gold medalist winners of Sydney and Doha, Esteban and Marco Grimalt, who are cousins, not brothers. Leading the way for the Americans at the moment, though that's likely to change here soon, is Bourne and Trevor Crabb. And for the women, at number 1 is Brazilians Rebecca Cavalcanti, winner of the P1440 Top Guns event, and Ana Patricia Silva. At number 2, from the U.S., is Emily Day and Betsy Flint, silver medalists in Sydney. Followed at number 5 is Brooke Sweat and Carrie Walsh-Jennings. And at number 6 is Kelly Clays and Sarah Sponso. More Americans at 11 and 13 with Brittany Howard and Kelly Reeves and Alex Kleiman and April Ross, respectively. So really solid showing in our Pacific Coast Wealth Management Olympic rankings update from the American women here. And now we're going to let you get back to the show.
Actually, I graduated in 2013, but I finished school in the winter of 2012.
Okay.
Took 6 months to do nothing.
Nice.
Travel with my girlfriend.
Great choice.
Helped her move to Nashville.
And then graduate.
And then graduated. And then the common thing to do in broadcast journalism, and what most of my peers did, was go to smaller towns in the U.S., friend in Montana, friend in Alabama, all over, really small towns, and they start as news reporters.
Right.
Make very small amount of money, sign a 1.5 or 2-year contract.
You're making me nostalgic.
And then work there, I bet. And then work their way up markets. And then, so if you start in market number 171, all right, well, now I'm going to shoot for market 110. And you keep working your way up markets. I didn't want to do that yet. I didn't want to leave LA. I was blessed enough to be able to stay in LA without a full-time job and just sort of see where things took me. So I kept announcing games at CSUN. I found a job at Harvard Westlake High School. You guys know Harvard Westlake?
That's a good gig, because
Great
it's
spot.
basically a college.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more expensive than the vast majority of colleges. So,
Oh, yeah.
and their sports programs are, you talk about well-oiled machines. Like,
Yes.
Holy cow.
It's amazing. The facilities are awesome. It's in Studio City, Sherman Oaks, one of those two. And I got an opportunity to announce a USA volleyball scrimmage. I think it was the women's national team. And I announced the scrimmage they were having at Harvard Westlake, and one of the 4 athletic directors approached me and was like, "Hey, like, can you do that for our volleyball team?" I was like, "Yes, sure, let's do it." And this particular guy, Jason, was all about starting up broadcast for their school. He ended up starting HWTV, Harvard Westlake TV, which is a almost completely student-run broadcast now, and they do all their sports. So kids that are interested in getting into broadcast, they'll come on there, do the play-by-play, do the color, swap out, do all different roles, do the camera, be the producer.
That's so cool.
Awesome. So I sort of got to help start that and not only announce the games and, again, do a variety of sports. I got to do field hockey, which I still know nothing about field hockey.
Former field hockey beat writer right here.
Exactly. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow.
Great sport. I love field hockey.
I still don't know that.
And she hits the ball with the cannon.
It was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot going on. So I got to do a bunch of sports again and mentor the kids, which was a really cool opportunity for me. And I realized, you mentioned earlier about educating or teaching broadcast. I could definitely see myself doing that one day.
Well, you're kind of doing
And
it.
with the FIVB.
Over FIVB, yeah.
Which is
It's a good
super fun.
start.
So did Harvard Westlake. This was started, I believe, in the fall of 2013. I did that for 2.5 or 3 seasons with them, years with them, on and off.
Yeah.
And so 2013, did some odd jobs, announced some more with USA Volleyball. I think it was the summer of 2014 that I called my first professional announcing gig, where I got to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma for, I think it was USA versus France Men's World League. And that was a pretty big moment for me. Not only was it my first contract signed pro gig, but when I got to those matches, something happened that I never planned, never expected to happen. It was the second day of matches. World League used to work where you would have one other three other teams come. One other team come? Now I forgot how it worked. It was the second day. I think it was the second day of matches. We'll just say that. And I was sort of bored. Like I was announcing. I wasn't running the music. Somebody else was running the music. I was like, yeah, this is volleyball. Like I'm calling the game, but like, what else can I do? So I turned around to my supervisor, or the event manager, and I was like, hey, like I know all the players' names. I have a wireless mic. Can I just go in the crowd? And she's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So I think she was a little surprised, but she's like, yeah, let's see what happens. So I went into the crowd and announced the rest of the match that day from the crowd, and it was so much fun. Like I would sit down next to people, just have conversations with them, and that's when I realized, like, I think, like, I really want to do this.
Yeah.
Like I really want to get into entertainment somehow. And like not just like I knew that's what I was sort of pursuing, but it was like that moment I was like, oh, this is so much fun, and I've never seen anybody else do this. I was like, I might be onto something here.
Right.
Yeah.
So then it was that same year, that same summer, I worked the World Series of Beach Volleyball. Geeter was the main announcer, and it was actually Dusty Avall that gave me the opportunity. Dustin was the AVP announcer before me.
Right.
And he emailed me and said, hey, the World Series of Beach Volleyball needs like a secondary announcer. I'm not able to do it. Would you be interested? He saw me, I think, at some USA event. And I said, yeah, absolutely. So I worked that event. Super fun opportunity. I was we call it in-arena host, where Geeter was doing the main announcing, and then I would interview fans do games and stuff on the court between.
Yeah.
So I got to do that, and very thankful that I got that job. Really good opportunity, because then February rolled around, January, February. I heard that Dusty might not be doing AVP again. So I contacted John Mayer. Mm-hmm. Best connection of my life.
Right.
Love that guy. We actually had him on the Net Live earlier today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I love talking to that guy. So texted John, said, hey, I heard Dusty might not be coming back. Is there a way I can reach out to the AVP? He put me in touch with Jeff Conover. Conover put me in touch with Donald and Al. Donald's son, Al Lau. So emailed them, said, hey, I don't know if the position's open. I'm interested. I would love to meet with you guys and show you what I have to offer. Sent them a video of me doing the only good real video I had was a few clips of me doing stuff with the World Series of Beach Volleyball. So I sent that to them, and I said, so I sent it to them, and then they invited me in for an interview down in Costa Mesa. So I go down there, we sit there for about an hour. It's me, Donald, Al, and I believe Bethany Nolette, who used to work with the AVP. She's no longer with them. She never said anything. She was just like taking notes. Like I remember the room. It's this like big sort of boardroom type thing. Like Donald's right here, Al's right here, Bethany's just writing stuff.
Yeah, she's a historian.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so they talked to me for an hour. We watched some of my video, and then at the end, Donald said, "You don't have to answer this right now. You can take a couple days and get back to us. But here's my question." He said, "At the end of the tournament or on Sunday, why?" And he's like, so on Sunday at the end of an AVP, when we need the crowd to get going, for the TV broadcast, why are they going to listen to you?
It's a great question.
Why are they going to be able to? Yeah, awesome question. And he's like, you don't have to answer right now. And I was like, well, I mean, I can answer right now if you want me to. And he's like, oh, okay, sure, go ahead. I don't know where I pulled this from. Like it just was the first thing that came to mind, and I was like, they're going to listen to me because I'm going to be out in the crowd. I'm not going to be stationary. I'm not going to stay with the DJ the whole time. I'm going to go and announce matches from the crowd. I'm going to introduce myself to people. They're going to know who I am for those first 2 days. And when I say something on Sunday, they're going to want to respond to what I say because they're all going to know me. Mm-hmm. And that's all I said. And he was like, okay.
Great answer.
Great. Yeah, I felt really good about it. I walked out of there like head high, and I'm like, oh man, here we go. I'm getting this job. Don't hear from him for a week. I emailed Bethany, like, hey, here, and she's like, oh, we're still interviewing a couple other people. We'll see. I emailed her every week for 5 weeks. And I'm like, by that point, I'm just like, okay, well, I didn't get the job. Yeah. You can just tell me I didn't get the job, guys. Like, why do you have to keep saying the same thing?
Yeah.
And then Al, I think it was Al. Was it Al or Donald? I got an email from one of them that was like, hey, we'd love to we'd love to essentially try you out. Like, we'd love to have you come to New Orleans and St. Petersburg. We'll give you a contract for those first two events.
It's a big gig to get right off the bat.
That was the second one of 2015, which was an FIVB.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And so, signed me up for those two. Did my first one in New Orleans, which was the most ridiculous tournament I've ever been involved in.
That was New Orleans 2015?
I'm glad I skipped that.
New Orleans 2015. Oh my gosh. So we get there. Actually, both of New Orleans were just insane. So my first ever AVP, I get there, Friday is rained out. Completely rained out.
Yep.
The courts are flooded. It's just pouring rain like I'd never seen before.
Welcome to the circus.
Exactly.
The qualifier, that was my first qualifier.
Yeah.
Matches were shortened to games to 11. 11.
Third to 7.
And third to 7.
Yes, that's crazy.
I was like, all right, welcome.
Oh my gosh. That was your first qualifier?
First qualifier.
Amazing. And I think talking to DJ Roche, he's like, yeah, in my 12 years at the time that I've been doing this, he's like, I think that was the second day we've ever had to like cancel because of weather. The next day, Saturday, we fit 2 complete days into that day because we started Sunday, I think, back where we should have, which at that time was the 5th place rounds on Sunday morning. And at the end of Saturday, Jeremy looks at me, he says, he's like, that was the longest day I had ever worked on the AVP. And it was my very first day. And I was like, great. He's like, I know it's crazy. Not everyone's like this.
Only gets better from here.
Exactly. So got through that, got through Sunday, and that night, Al called me, and the night after the Sunday of New Orleans, and gave me a contract for the rest of the year. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I always think about all these little moments that sort of led me to getting that job, and then to where I am now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, journalism, like, life stories are hilarious because, like you said, you always
So
have to
many
start out in
paths.
some like podunk town for the most part with like covering field hockey or a sport you've never heard of.
Yeah.
And then like you just slowly meander your way around, and especially with freelancing, because you've always just been full-time freelancing.
All freelance.
And because you just meet so many people, and then half the time, like, you just don't even have to really apply for jobs. It's just like you text a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, and here's a tryout.
Yep.
Dude, that's so crazy how that works.
Awesome.
And especially your gig. Like, I feel like let's say, I don't know, there's been a handful of people who do what you do, or who have done what you do over the years, but there's been, like, 5 of all time, probably? And
I don't
you're
even know.
basically, my point is, you're basically the only one doing it, and you're kind of creating it as you go. Like, I mean, and it's different personalities doing it, so you can't do exactly what Gator did or what Dusty did. You have to, like, create your own.
And I was nervous about that when I started, about copying Dusty or Geeter a little bit. And I was like, I was just scared of copying them. I wasn't trying to copy them. I was actually trying not to. Like, there are little things they did that I
probably heard it so much in your brain, you'd have to, like, try not to.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have to, like, pull it out of your brain rather than try to do it.
So that's what I thought. When I get into the moment and when I get into doing it, all that goes out the window. And I'll notice when I'll do little things sort of like Geeter would do, but our styles are so different that I quickly learned that I didn't have to be worried about that. And so I'll pick up things, and now I'm not scared about doing that, so I'll hear something I like from somebody that when I'm watching TV or watching any sort of event, and I'm like, oh, like, he does that really well. I like how he does that. And then I don't even think so much, how can I incorporate this? I just sort of let myself accept the fact.
How can I make it my own?
How can I make it my own? And I let myself accept that I love what he did, and I don't think I've done that before. And then I just sort of let it ruminate. And I'm like, maybe this will turn into something that I can incorporate. Because the beauty of this world is that it's actually really hard to perfectly emulate what somebody's doing because everybody's personality is different.
Totally.
So being able to pick up and giving yourself permission to pick up on what other people do well and make it your own, I think is the way to grow in this business and keep changing while keeping your own thing.
I think no matter what, like, I mean, it's the same with anything. You have to, even players like us interacting with the fans, it has to be real. Like, if I'm like, go out there and, for example, like, you know, Casey's, Patterson's probably the most, you know, engaging with the fans, right? If I were to go out there and act like Casey, I would look like an idiot.
It'd look awkward.
What the audience really wants is just honesty and, like, you know, to see a real person. So when you try to copy someone, it just doesn't work. Even acting. like acting, you have to actually like convince yourself that you are that person and then go be that person.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not like really acting. You're actually just like being that person.
Somebody's taking an acting class.
Wife's an actress.
Right. So I guess you learned a few. Yeah, that's right.
I read a on-camera audition with her today.
Cool.
I was off camera, obviously.
she was the on-camera one.
Yeah. I pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, you crushed it. We reversed roles, and I'm going to.
I might get the audition. Yeah. No, yeah, it's super interesting
on
now.
set today.
Oh man, yes.
I like that stuff. But how do you like fine tune your craft? You know, like when you don't necessarily like you can't go to a beach volleyball broadcast or whatever it's called, broadcasting.
Yeah, right.
Such a unique job, whatever.
There's no like beach volleyball 101.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
to do what you do, but there is classes to go do sports like sideline basketball, color commentary, play-by-play guy. There's not really a book to do what you do.
There are.
Maybe there's a book.
There's not a book. There's probably a book somewhere. I don't know. Like the things that we just sort of mentioned, like acting classes, for example. I've taken some commercial acting classes, learned a lot from that. Yeah. Never knew if I would ever want to do commercial acting, but I figure like anything, camera-wise, like I probably can learn something from this. The thing I probably learned the most from, well, it's one of two things. I'll say improv. I took 2 series of improv classes at Upright Citizens. UCB?
No, at
Groundlings? Second City?
Second City.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
They're all great.
Dude, I would recommend that for anyone in anything, no matter what you're gonna do.
Absolutely.
It's just like ultimate confidence booster.
Because it makes you think on your feet. It makes anybody nervous. I was more nervous to do an improv show than I've been to do any sort of broadcast. Yeah. Seriously.
I made sure no one knew that I was.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted a little bit of support in the crowd. So I invited like 2 people. One of them came, I think. And,
I didn't get to the point. I didn't get to a show.
So different. So UCB.
Third level for me would have been a show.
Gotcha. For UCB, they do at the end of any level, you do a show.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. And it was, oh my gosh, so nerve-wracking. But it's because you go up there and you can't plan for anything. Yeah. Like you don't know what's going to come. It's completely improvised. Yeah. And when you...
The more you try to plan, the worse
it's going to be. Exactly.
It's like, so like, just do nothing. Just do nothing until you hear what they say and then react. And then you're like, but I want to be good at it, so I want to prepare. Like, nope. But then once you learn how to do that, now everything comes off naturally.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So those were amazing. And voiceover classes have interestingly affected me in a different way than I thought. Yeah. When I took a voiceover stuff, that's probably 5 years ago, I did a series of classes. The hardest thing for me was to bring the voice down a little bit, like make it more personal, make it juicy. Not be an announcer.
How about like a cartoon?
Yeah,
you know, you have to do everything, right?
Animated characters.
Did you try that? Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. We covered everything. Most classes do focus on commercial because that's the biggest area of voiceover, but we would always do a little animated stuff, especially at the end, and that's the most fun stuff to do, just to be a character and just go crazy. But I did another series of voiceover classes about 2 months ago. It was in January and February, actually. And this time going into it after not having done voiceover stuff for 3 or 4 years, like very specific voiceover stuff, I went into it with a new understanding, and maybe because of everything I've done between the time I took the initial voiceover stuff, but just sort of this understanding of the importance of every word on that page, like on a voiceover audition script, and like what is this trying to communicate. And what I tried to do when I first took voiceover classes was like change my voice. And what I learned was that's, for me anyway, that's not the route to go. It is to read the script, get the emotion of the script. What are you going for? And then keep that. Yeah. And I think that I want to feel whatever I need to feel, and then just read the words and let them come. Because my instincts in like reading stuff are pretty good. Like I'm a good reader. Yeah. And so it wasn't as much about the emphasizing individual words. It was more about having the feeling of it. And so that's just taught me in general, like when doing voiceover, when I would breathe and admit, like I would be nervous or something about doing the script right, which is ridiculous because it's a class, like who cares? Right. But that nervousness would still come when it came time to record. So I'm like, you're not trying to perfect anything, you're just trying to feel whatever it is. And that translates into what I do with volleyball, what I do with anything I do, where the way to connect with the crowd and with the players and with whoever's hearing you is just to be in whatever you're doing. The words you say don't really matter.
Right.
And it flows so much better when you're just, I'm a fan of volleyball. I love volleyball.
Right.
So
be a fan with the fans, right?
So I react sometimes how I would have reacted if I'm a fan. Like, you see something crazy happen and it's like, kill by Bourne. No, it's like, oh, what just happened? Like, that's what the fan is thinking. So it's like, just be who you are. Love what you do if you really love it, and just watch as if you were going to the beach to watch. That's all I'm doing. So the voiceover
sounds so easy.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it's crazy. You have to go through all these classes and education and practice just to get.
And then you have these realizations.
I just gotta like be me, like the most neutral, raw version.
Yeah.
All right. Took a long path to get there.
So that's sort of, there's a quote by, and I can't remember who it is, some old writer that I just got reminded of from watching the OA. Do you guys know what that is?
No.
It's a show on Netflix. It's super weird. Like, it's Stranger Things, like, on steroids. Like, it's really weird. But there's a part of the show that shows a quote about, like, we journey and we adventure to go on this adventure to eventually end back up at the start, but have that much more perspective. And so something like that.
Right.
So essentially, like what you're saying, like you go through all this just to realize, oh, I just need to be myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just need to be the most myself I can, and that's really the trick. So
Life lessons from broadcasting.
there you go.
It's true though.
Yeah.
It all translates.
And you said life lessons. I was like, oh, what did I write on there? Oh, when in doubt, just roll out. Yeah. Which.
An even better quote.
Yeah. which is really the theme of the last month for me.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, this is basically, you just summed up Chad Beauchamp's entire podcast.
yeah, that's about it. There it is.
Just roll out.
Activate those quads, baby. That's my big thing. Pre and post, I gotta activate those quads.
You staying active these days? Playing still?
Playing, I would say on average 2 times a week.
You played in 2 qualies last year.
I did. Just did
dabble.
terrible. In
What if you qualify?
That's my goal.
What's the plan?
Not okay. So
Do you
here's
get to,
where I'm at.
What is Donald or whoever?
He's okay. They're okay with that. I've already cleared it. I've came to them with like a, hey, I am in no position to qualify, but if it happens,
Can
can we make that work? Yeah. I will make it work. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, because they full well know that I'm not going to qualify.
I'll cover you.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate. Yeah, absolutely.
You are a good
We might be
volleyball player.
playing.
Thank you.
We might be playing each other though.
Ooh, we probably that's a good call. I've actually
Give us sideline mics in the
That's
in the
what I want to do.
booth.
So that's I'm going to announce if I play in a game.
They just mic you up.
Wait,
Yeah.
could
a
you do
cordless?
this for a qualifier match though? Just hot mic to everyone.
That'd be fun.
That'd be
I'd be
awesome.
okay with that.
We should. I mean, that would make for
SANDCAST.
some really good videos too.
Let's get the Zoomy out there.
That'd be awesome.
Like sand mics popping
Yeah,
up everywhere.
for sure.
Net
Yeah.
mic for sure.
Yeah. I just want to introduce everybody in the match that I'm playing. You know, that's what I envision.
yourself?
Me,
You're like
me in the
sitting.
booth. Yeah, like we're the 16 seed playing the 1, and I'm obviously introducing the 1s first. I'm getting you guys out on the sand so I can have my moment. So it's just, some kid from USC, try Bourne, everybody, give it up for try. And then, some jerk that played at Long Beach State, Trevor Crabb, here's Trevor, everybody. I'll give a little bit more from my partner, and then I'm giving myself a 3-minute intro.
A
You got
Geeter style intro for
Are
yourself.
you gonna like
Just
stand
going
up and be
nuts.
announcer Mark, and then sit down and be player Mark while?
I've thought about that.
I don't know how you do that, but
I think I would rather just sort of be sitting there pumping
Or
myself up
pre-record it.
as I pre-record it. Ooh, that's a really good idea. I didn't think about that.
so then you could just
Pretty
bowl,
good. Then
announce yourself and react to it.
Yes.
and just feel it.
Oh, that's so good. So yes, one day that's going to happen. I don't think I'm going to qualify this year. I didn't really play much last year.
Yeah.
And I got a little bit out of shape, to be honest. I lost 12 pounds because last year I was figuring out some diet stuff for the first time in my life. Almost a year and a half ago, I was like, okay, I think I need to experiment with my diet because something's not working.
Yeah.
So did some cleanses, lost weight for the first time in my life, and was like, this is crazy. This feels weird.
Cleansing is dangerous territory.
For sure. And when I was doing it, I wasn't sure if it was worth it. And I stuck to it, and so I started like beginning of the year. Well, I really started like Thanksgiving time 2 years ago, but I started last
Right
January.
after Thanksgiving.
Correct. Yes. After Thanksgiving. Then I stopped eating the gluten.
Got it.
But last January I did the whole 30 cleanse, and that sort of set me on a path of figuring stuff out. And then it was really like by mid-April, I think, that I had come to the conclusion of I'm going to stop eating gluten. I'm going to stop eating dairy. A few months later, I stopped eating soy. And those seem to be the main culprits.
Right.
So now I'm in a good place where I know what makes me feel bad. When I eat, like I feel like when my stomach's feeling good, everything's feeling good, and I eat something, I can feel it. Like when I eat something that's off, I can feel it, and I can diagnose it.
Right.
And so with all the traveling last year and going through all of that stuff was really hard.
Traveling's tough on
Really hard.
immune system and your stomach.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. So you full well know. So I wasn't sleeping great, so I wasn't working out. Like I would get to China, and instead of like going to the gym and getting some physical activity, I would just be like, oh my God, I just need to sleep.
Right.
So I didn't get in, or I got out of a place where I felt good. Like I've never been a guy to like look out of shape necessarily,
Right.
but I felt so bad.
Totally.
So then and now that I've got a pretty good grip on it, I'm putting some muscle back on, I'm starting to get back up to a weight that feels good, and starting to play more. So, point of the story, I don't think I'm going to qualify this year. You know what? You give me some time to get back into it. When October rolls around and I'm back home, I'm getting after it.
There we go.
And I'm going to make it happen next year. I'm going to qualify and announce myself. Unless
I hope to play you. That would be great.
I hope to too.
That'd be great.
My only hope of playing this year is if I can get Johnny Mayer to briefly come out of retirement
Ooh,
that he
with
just
you?
went into. Yeah. And we'll get into Hermosa because he'll still have his points.
Wild card.
So yeah.
Or wild card.
Or wild card.
And
yeah.
like this year and next year are good years to do it, because like, especially for you guys are going for Tokyo, like Hermosa this year is the Tokyo like kind of
Tokyo
dry run.
4-star test event. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Hermosa, dude, bring him back.
I put the seed in there today.
Yeah.
So, and he said he didn't want to do it unless he was playing with Mark Schuermann. So I'm like,
Well,
I've got it recorded.
Dude, that's
John,
great.
People heard that.
screenshot.
Yeah.
Or that was a net live.
It was on that live. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So it's out there. I might just play that. Ooh, actually, I think I'm gonna clip that. I should just keep that to myself instead of telling everybody. That's gonna come out. He's gonna be like coaching Billy or something on Stadium Court, and I'm gonna play that clip. Yeah, remember, John? We're ready to go in 6
Good
weeks.
call.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I have been playing more. Yeah, getting after it.
What's the most fun you've had calling a match? Is there one that stands out that was like that was awesome, or like to flip side? Have you
Or just a
made just
disaster.
like a disastrous error, or just like you had a match where you're like, oh my god, like Try's gonna kill me because I said SC sucks.
You know, I haven't
Yeah.
had. Because I said,
you know what I mean?
it's really funny. You know, yeah,
Violent try.
pretty intense. Yeah, oof. Scared of that one. Oh man, has there been a match? Oh man, I want to give a good answer. I want to
Or
give
just
like
memorable moment. you
right.
know? I'm nervous for you when you do the NBC thing.
The NBC. Ooh, that was actually pretty fun. I was really proud of this when it happened. This was in. Was this last year or the year before? One of the two. When Huntington's been the first tournament of the year for the last 2 years. Last 3 years. Two, at least two. Yeah.
Yeah.
It might have been last year.
Last year was the FIVB.
Last year was the FIVB.
The year before that, it opened.
Then I think it was the year before that. It was, I think it was 2 years ago. I was going to go live, we're a minute out, pumping the crowd.
It was Hayden and Doherty in the final.
Was it? Wow, that's phenomenal by you, was it? 2
Well,
years
I
ago?
remember because it was my first time missing a tournament, and my partner's getting announced during the final.
just like-
I was facing the other way.
I bet you were. Dude.
But yeah, that was the one.
So we're getting the crowd pumped, like a minute left, 30 seconds left. Get the crowd pumped, ready to go. Here we go, we're feeling good. 15 seconds left. I'm saying my last thing to the crowd, and I start to turn towards the camera. I start to hear a 10, 9. I think it was on 9. Somebody from the NBC truck, there's a lot going on. There's two different production trucks. Somebody from the NBC truck runs up with another microphone, another wireless mic, and says, your microphone is not patched into our truck correctly. You have to use this mic. So I have one mic for the in-house. That mic is supposed to be patched in to NBC, so I only have to use one mic. It's patched into 2 different trucks. Not working for some reason. Brings me another mic. I don't know why they discovered this 30 seconds before going live.
And someone sprinted from the truck with a mic.
Yeah. So I get the other mic. That person runs off 5, 4, and I'm like, I have to use both mics. So double fisting it. And I think I sort of plan what I'm going to say on NBC. Mostly don't plan what I'm going to say on NBC. And I was just like, like whatever I said. This is Huntington Beach. Blah blah blah. Like start of 2017. It's so big. I need 2 mics for it.
Nice.
So that was.
There's that improv class.
Exactly. So I did that. I introduced the players, and I just walk off, and just to myself, I'm just like smiling because I was like, "Oh my god, that was so great. That was so yeah."
Double mic drop.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of my favorite pictures. No, maybe I'll get you guys that picture. You can
Double
put it in
fisting.
post. Yeah, double fisting.
Yeah, totally.
It was pretty fun.
That's awesome.
As far as like bad moments, I can tell the story. Yeah, I think. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus.
Did Kelly ever mess with you from
Oh, Kelly definitely messes with me. She'll whisper things in my ear. You know Kelly pretty well now. Yeah,
I got to
Kelly
spend
Reed.
a lot of time up there.
Kelly Reed, our wonderful producer, who I did.
She's basically
Video
in
with,
his ear for the most
Yes.
part, like the games, the timing of it, with the videos and all that, telling him what to do, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've gotten to the point where I only put Kelly in my ear for the NBC, pretty much, because I don't love having that in my ear, especially when I'm like roaming the crowd.
Yeah.
Because it'll like fall out, and then she'll be trying. I won't notice that it falls out because I'm having a conversation with somebody, and I don't wear it all weekend, and then she's trying to say something, and then I'll get it back in, and she's like, "Mark, where have you been?" I'm like, "Sorry, it fell out." So we got to the point, we have hand signals, and I'll look up there, I'll look up to the booth if I'm out of there. But yeah, we're going live, and she'll just like whisper like a sweet nothing into my ear, like something joking, and I'll just,
Good luck, baby boy.
I have to laugh. Yeah, something stupid like that. And then I look up at her, and she's just cracking up, and I'm like, 3, 2, 1, and then I'm just like, come on, Kelly.
It flies down.
It's ridiculous, yeah. But I bring it on myself.
Don't
'cause
look.
I mess with her. Like once in Chicago, a few years ago, I made it a point to lose her. Like she couldn't find me, so I'm like walking around the crowd, and I know she's looking for me, needs to tell me stuff.
Yeah.
But she basically tells me something before a match, like what the schedule of the match is going to be,
Right.
and then we just roll with it. She used to not fully trust that I would remember everything we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So a way for me to get her to trust me was to make myself unavailable.
Free solo it.
Free solo.
I
So
love that
I would
move.
take my earpiece out. I would go into the crowd. I would talk to people. I would see her looking for me, and then I would like hide behind somebody. And then I know she's freaking out because we're almost at the technical timeout, and we have something planned. And I'm like, I know exactly what it is. She doesn't know if I remember, so I say nothing, and then the
Show up
timeout
right on
starts.
time.
Yeah, I put my earpiece in right before the timeout starts. She's like, "Mark, I don't know if you can hear me, but we got to roll this video, and you got to talk over it. You got to say this about this sponsor." And then I get back up there, and she slaps me, and and I'm just like, "See, I know what's going on, Kelly. I got this." We have a really good relationship now. Well, I mean, we always did, but Kelly is. I'm very lucky to have been able to work and meet Kelly, and she's gotten me. She was my connection to UCLA. She did UCLA for years and years. She doesn't
sorry
anymore.
about that.
But yeah, right. Hey, I tried to do some stuff with SC. I announced I announced the soccer game actually. But your boy Leland Waters is still doing everything over there.
He's shredding over there.
Yeah, he is.
Leland.
So she was my connection to UCLA basketball. So I've been doing men's basketball and volleyball for a while at UCLA. She was my connection to the NCAA. I do a few championships with the NCAA.
It's a good in.
So she's awesome.
I love it.
You're a busy guy. You can do professional volleyball, college volleyball, throw in a random soccer game. You do some long drive contests. Which is
that's
awesome.
Oh yeah.
we just had our first production call of the year. This is my third year doing the World Long Drive Tour with Golf Channel.
It's so cool.
Such a
There's
good
definitely
gig.
no book on how to commentate that.
No, and this is
Boom
good.
shakalaka.
Yeah, exactly.
Like those NBA Jam, like
Yeah, exactly.
they just do one
He's
thing.
on fire. Yeah.
Going back.
So there's another pseudo John Mayer connection. Kevin Ensley, who is now an assistant coach with the Pepperdine men's volleyball team. He for a few years was what would his title be? Some sort of VP of marketing at Golf Channel, and one of his things was the World Long Drive. I got an email from him out of the blue 2 years ago, probably 2 years ago in March. Yeah, 2 years ago from now, and he was like, hey, doing the Long Drive Tour, I've seen you on the AVP. That's the kind of energy I want to sort of force into this thing. Would you be interested? And so he got me in there to be with the live crowd, sort of like I am with the AVP, for a 2-hour TV show. It's all about the live TV show, whereas the AVP is an event, and there's also a TV show with it. And while the TV show is going on, they sort of get equal attention.
Right.
The Golf Channel, like, this is a 2-hour TV show. So really cool experience for me. I get there a day early. We have a meeting. We have a rehearsal. We have a meeting the next morning. It's all about this 2-hour show and hitting all these segments and doing everything in a somewhat exact way.
Right.
So really cool experience for me. So with the Golf Channel, I get to introduce the long drivers and do it in like an intense way that nobody's ever heard on the Golf Channel, because it's all about hitting the ball as far as you can.
Right.
Like that's the only that's it.
Yeah.
Literally, that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like we need to bring some new energy to this, not just the normal golf people.
Right.
So that's
And he
an
really
amazing opportunity.
unloaded on that ball
Yeah,
right
really,
there.
Yeah. It sliced a little bit. It's, you know what? It's going to end up out of bounds. That's not going to count.
He just hit that 3,000 yards.
Clap, everybody. So I get the crowd revved up at those. I get my live time on TV. Such a cool gig. And Ensley was John Mayer's roommate at Pepperdine. They played volleyball.
Small
together.
world, dude.
So crazy.
Do you have to be
Yeah.
quiet during a drive? Does
I
everyone
have-
Does everyone have to be quiet?
No, they've got music playing the whole time.
Oh, okay. So
However,
it's not-
I don't say anything during
That
while
would be,
they're like
that
in
would
the
be a little
backswing.
rough. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I have not had
Don't mess
a
up.
280-pound, just jacked,
Yes.
6'6"
guy with a
dude,
driver in his hand.
come on. Ah! But the guys are, and girls, we've got 3 women hit a 400-yard drive.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was.
The drivers that they
Incredible.
use are huge.
They're huge, but they're legal. You can use them
Yeah.
on the PGA Tour or LPGA
You
Tour.
just have no idea where it's going to end up.
Correct.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so they're usually maxed
They
out
can
in
hit
length.
400 yards, but they don't know what direction that 400 yards is going to be in.
Exactly.
Wow.
So the amazing thing is how accurate they are with a
Yeah.
48-inch long driver and a maxed out head.
Dang.
And like there's no stiffness. Like I feel like I can bend it probably that much.
Whoa.
I
The
couldn't actually
fishing
bend it that
poles,
much. But that's,
basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's pretty cool.
That's rad.
Yeah. So yeah, in the summer it's AVP, FIVB, and Golf Channel, and then everything else is either UCLA, NCAA, or high school dance competitions.
Oh,
Nice.
there you go.
Those are buddy. Those are great gigs.
That's gonna be
I've been doing that
entertaining.
for 5 years, and I say it like that because they are really good off-season gigs that nobody probably would ever think of. And that was also a connection to the World Series of Beach Volleyball. So I've been doing that 5 seasons now. It's January through March. It's like 8 weekends.
Perfect.
It's a full day,
Oh yeah.
but they pay. That's why I'm so excited about it. They pay well. It's a good off-season gig for me. And yeah, I got that. One of the cheerleaders from the World Series of Beach Volleyball, the year I did it, she is part owner now, I think, of this. She was like up and coming in this dance competition company.
Yeah.
And she's like, we've never had like a professional announcer. We just have somebody on staff like announce the dances. She's like, I think we need like a different sort of energy. So I did a competition for them, and it was basically I don't have to know anything about dancing,
Right.
thank goodness, because I know nothing about dancing. But I get to introduce all like throughout the day all the dancers coming on, and it's team dances, it's solo dances, it's hip hop, it's contemporary. There's all sorts of like categories, and the passion that they put into it is incredible. and the athleticism on display is truly amazing. Like, yoga must be nothing to these girls and guys. Like, the way they can flip their head up and around, or flip their leg up around their head, and then immediately do a super like strong hold with their arms, or be on point with one foot. It's incredible. So I gained this immediate appreciation for it, and then I've been doing it for the last 5 years.
That's
so
awesome.
That's rad. You're getting a
cool.
pretty big portfolio, it seems like, and like very fast.
Broad, yeah,
broad.
It feels pretty good.
It's cool though, because like a few of these jobs you're talking about, like you're like the first to do it. You know, you're kind of like spearheading all these new sports and projects. That's got to be a good feeling.
It is a good feeling.
You should start like a agency. You know, you got all the contact. Then you have
you're the fourth person to say that
people
to me
under
in
you.
3 months. I think it's a sign.
Might be.
More homework.
Yeah, exactly. No, that'd be great. I mean, that's get people in, and if I can't work an event, because I'm starting to have to turn down events, which is great.
It's the
and
best
sad
feeling
at the same
as a
time.
freelancer.
Keep getting that Rolodex.
Yeah, exactly. And like,
Real big.
I can't do it, but Andre can.
Then you have to turn jobs down,
Yeah.
and you still get paid to do them.
Yes. That's what you-
Nobody steals that.
Something.
You know what I
The
want
beauty
to do?
is they can't, because they can't do it.
Yeah.
You're the only one that can do this.
I'm interested in corporate speaking,
Ooh, yeah.
which is like going to corporate retreats, and they'll have speakers come and do some sort of encouraging speak based on whatever sort of theme they want. Mostly like leadership-based speeches, and I recently met somebody who is pretty deep into that, and he's like, "Man, you got to."
Reed Pretty does that, right?
Does he?
I think he does stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've seen him
that would
like
make
posting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be a great speaker for that. That's like his bread and butter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm really interested in. So I'm in a place where I've got my schedule. I love what I'm doing. But I'm feeling like, all right, there's something new I want to explore. I want to put myself out there again and sort of do something that I'm not super comfortable with doing. So whether that ends up being voiceover acting, I want to get in front of the camera more too. I would like to do more broadcast-oriented stuff for online or television.
Nice.
So sort of see what happens. I'm letting things come as they do. I'm exploring opportunities as they come. So I love where I'm at right now, that I've got these gigs and I still have a little bit of time to explore new things.
I like it.
Yeah. Next big thing, qualifying. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's the number one focus. Yeah, exactly.
But most importantly, we'll be seeing you for AVPs.
Oh yeah.
For a while,
Oh
hopefully.
yeah. I'm in. Oh, I mean, I love AVP.
Yeah.
I have no plans to not do AVP.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep.
Well, I know that we've kept you for a while, and I know that we have the Bourne Zoo is coming back soon.
Oh yeah, it might get loud in here.
So we have Try's got
I have
20 nieces and nephews.
We have
Oh
10.
my
There's
gosh.
10 people staying in my house right now.
What?
Yeah.
From out of town? From
Yeah, from out of town.
From
I mean,
Hawaii?
I have
From where?
2 sisters, but
Okay.
they both have kids.
Right.
And then their significant others.
right.
And then my wife, and we're all here.
Hanging out.
Yeah.
The Bourne clan.
Well, then I
Yeah.
would keep this window open because it might get a
Yeah,
little
no,
warm.
yeah, exactly. That's why we left it open for you. I hope you didn't get sunburned. A little sun coming through.
I have been getting sunburned and it feels great. Kim, my girlfriend, is like, "You gotta put sunscreen." I'm like, "Oh, come on, whatever." Feels great.
Bronzing. Just
Yeah,
getting
just
just
come
getting
on.
the base coat on.
I like it. And you're also doing, helping out with the Net Live.
Yeah.
Our friends over there.
Yeah, like I said, hosted that with Johnny Mayer on there this morning. Me and DJ Ruche were hosting it, and I'll probably do that like once a month.
You kind of switch off with Kevin Barnett.
Yeah, I mean, him and Ruche still mostly do it, but I'll probably start doing it every 3 or 4 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Love
April
it.
22nd is my next date.
Ah.
Get you guys in? Yeah, I need.
Get up on.
Yeah, let's check the
I mean, I
calendar.
know you train. I mean,
We gotta make this happen.
right, but I know
Monday
you train.
mornings are
Monday
tough.
mornings are tough.
Monday morning
Right.
stuff.
Yeah. We'll see.
Figure
We'll see
it
what
out.
we can do. Yeah.
Maybe when we come back from a long trip and land Sunday night, take Monday off.
There it is. Where you are you going to Itapema
Yes.
during Austin?
Yes.
Well, then maybe the Monday.
Unfortunately.
Maybe the Monday after Austin.
Okay.
Maybe we'll look at that.
We're on to something.
Done.
Done.
Stay tuned, people.
Yeah, seriously.
Both podcasts. Subscribe.
So our final question for all of
Yes.
our guests.
Ooh.
If you had to give one piece of advice to an up-and-coming beach volleyball player, what would that piece of advice be?
Up to a player.
Or it could be a
Someone in the
up-and-coming
beach volleyball
no.
space.
Sherman.
Okay. I'm
Put it
gonna
that
go. in the beach volleyball space. You know what?
Someone that maybe wants to do it.
Right,
what
wants
you
to do
do.
it.
Yeah.
I'll go with that. I'll go with an upcoming, and it can be beach volleyball, but really anybody in any sort of broadcast field, and it can probably apply to more than one field. Don't worry about mistakes, I guess, would be my biggest thing, and embrace mistakes, because some of the most fun things happen when you make a mistake and you immediately admit it. The crowd doesn't care. Crowd doesn't care as long as you play along. This was in Manhattan either last year or the year before, and it might have been Rosie. So I said that somebody was about to play in the semifinals. Or it was like Saturday night and somebody, like Rosie's going to be in the semis, and immediately I was like, ooh, Rosie is not in the semis.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm in Manhattan Beach. Like, I can't say Rosie's in the semis if he's not in the semis.
Right. Yeah.
And so I said it, and I stopped talking. The crowd sort of chuckles a little bit, and then gets into like a light, like, boo. And I was like, okay, yeah, I know. He's not, I know. Bring it. I'll let this sit for a second. And then they all laughed, and then I went on, and nobody remembered. So the more that you're in it, and not thinking about what you're saying, but thinking about being in what you're doing, first of all, the less mistakes you'll make. And when you do make a mistake, you'll recognize it, and you'll have fun with it, and it won't matter. Right. And as long as you are self-deprecating in a fun way and admit that you made a mistake and joke about yourself, that's what's going to make the crowd feel more connected to you, and they're going to love you even more. So yeah, if you make a mistake, think of it as a positive almost.
Right.
Yeah. I think self-deprecation, is like the most disarming thing you can possibly do.
Yeah.
It's like
in the right way.
Thing to do. Yeah.
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 And it takes the pressure off.
Well, and it makes you feel human, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the most connecting part, because you're this powerful person with a microphone.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like subconsciously listening to you, like, whoa, this is like the guy right now. He's got the spotlight. Then you make a mistake, and it kind of makes them feel like, oh, he's just like human, just like us.
Yep.
And then they can kind of engage more or whatever.
And as an entertainer, something I hadn't thought about that somebody said to me, they said, hey, one cool thing about watching you is I'm not nervous when I watch you do what you do. And I was sort of blown away by the simplicity of that, because I immediately thought of, watching a stand-up comic that you're like, oh man, I've seen like this person, I've seen them have bad shows and be sort of mean to themselves or be weird, and it's like, I don't want them to mess up. But you're watching a performer.
It's painful to watch.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that,
Even if it's like watching a singer and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want them to mess up. Or you're watching a gymnastics routine during the Olympics and you're like, I don't want them to mess up. So for somebody to tell me that they didn't feel nervous when I was doing something, they didn't feel nervous for me.
Right.
And this is somebody that cares about me.
Right.
And so for them to say that, I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So I thought more about it, and I'm like, that makes sense from the sort of same perspective of, I don't care if I make a mistake, because the audience, having heard me make a mistake before and be cool about it, well, it's almost like you can't mess up, because if you do mess up, you're just going to turn it into something fun anyway.
Right.
So then the audience isn't nervous about anything. You're not nervous about it. It's just sort of is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Love it.
More life lessons.
Yeah.
Embrace the shanks. Proverbial.
Yeah.
And real.
I don't know how it translates into a shank.
Yeah,
you just straight up lose a point.
Hey, Travis was really wanting to get it back into the beach volleyball. I get it. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on, Mark. This was a lot of fun.
Me.
We'll pop on the net live here soon.
Yeah,
awesome.
we gotta make that happen.
I love it.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. Yep.